What's up, guys? B Green Flex here, voice of Flex, back with another one. Today we're going to be reacting to this video. Feminist asked Andrew Tate why it is okay for alpha male to cheat. And this is not a fresh and fit clip. Like, it's their production, it's their podcast, but it's not directly from their channel. It's like just like a Andrew Tate clip channel. But I saw it pop up on my feed, and I was kind of like, okay, this might be a good one to react to because I might have a different opinion on this. Well, not necessarily a different, but an interesting opinion to some of you as far as what this video might portray. Because I feel like in the red pill space, there's a lot of people that kind of feel like, oh yeah, I just deserve to cheat on my woman, and it's not really cheating, but I deserve to have multiple women and all this kind of stuff, which I do agree with in some sense. But we're gonna react to this, and as usual, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and see what we got.
Okay, so Kate said something earlier in the show that really kind of stuck with me.
Okay. Oh, let me put my headphones on. Give me a second. Okay.
No, it wasn't that. And you mentioned something about love.
Also, I do want to say this because I feel like it's just kind of something I always do. But whenever I look to my left, so I guess the right from the view of the camera. But whenever I look to the left, that's where my other monitor is that has the recording. So like if I ever am kind of like looking like this, that's just kind of what I'm used to doing to make sure everything's still going good. And I also stream video games. If you guys want to check that out, my channel is Admits TV on Twitch, and I also post a lot. I used to post every day, a few clips a day, but now it's usually a few times a week. But it's still usually like 3 or 4 clips at a time. But that's also Admits TV if y'all want to check that out. So a lot of times when I'm making videos, I'm so used to looking up there because when I'm streaming, I gotta look at the chat. But anyway, just thought I'd let you know that.
You said love is everywhere. Love is,
Most important.
Most important. It makes the world go round.
Yeah.
Why is to me it seems like love is a one-way street for you when it comes to a male and it comes to a woman. If a man and woman are in love,
Okay.
with each other,
Okay.
why is it okay for a man to step out since a man can't? Since all men cheat. But if you are in love, like you say, love makes the world go around.
Yes.
Why can't love be a 1 and 2? Why does love have to be 1 and 2 and maybe a 3?
Okay, I can give you two answers to that.
Okay.
So the first answer. No. Who's saying that? the first.
Before I listen to his input, I kind of feel like I know what he's gonna say because we kind of agree on a lot of shit. I feel like most men agree with what Andrew Tate says, even though girls don't want to accept that. But before I listen to his answer, I will already state the fact that she is viewing love from a female perspective, as in when a female loves a man, she shows loyalty and love and compassion and empathy, all those traits that you do when you love somebody. You show that through remaining loyal physically, sexually. You show that by not having sex with other men, by not giving other men, attention, by aiding your man in his business and wanting to help his life get better. That's usually how women show loyalty. And when men show loyalty, they usually do it by resources. They do it by financial, financial planning, wanting to buy a house, for their women or for their family. They show it by choosing to have the kids with that woman. They show it by marrying that woman. They show it by providing for that woman, whether it be, food or rent, like I said, buying a house, a car, clothes, taking that woman out on trips and traveling and stuff like that. That's how men show loyalty. They don't necessarily show loyalty by sexual access. And a big reason for that is because for thousands of years, we're put on this earth to procreate. And men, especially the men that most girls look for now that are super successful and all this kind of stuff, they earned the right to be able to have multiple women, and the reason why women want them is because so many women want them. And it's just kind of a biological thing that it's ingrained in our brains to want to spread our seed and to have sexual access to a lot of women, and we earned that by having good jobs or starting businesses and becoming financially free, by working out, by increasing our physicality, all these other things. So it's a different. We're not the same. We are equal, but we are not the same. So let's see what he got to say.
The first answer is the boring one, right? So there's an evolutionary and biological reason why men do what they do. Do you know that since the dawn of human time, and this has been proven in genetics, that 99% of women have reproduced and only 38% of men have reproduced? Do you know what that means? That means that 38% of men had all the women. And I'm trying to say that animalistically, you have to look at humans, right? We have society that tells us what to do, but
That's a very good point, because I also feel like, and especially in today's world and today's society and all that shit, women tend to view men through a lens only particular to their situations. And most women, especially women in cities like Miami and stuff like that, they're looking at it through a lens of men that are hyper successful, you know, might be tall, might have good bodies, good genetics, all this other stuff. But these are not the everyday man. The everyday man is, in regular shape, or, just not fat. The everyday man makes what I think the average salary went up a little bit. So it's around 60 right now. But like 55 to 60 grand a year. The, regular man doesn't drive a Lambo. He doesn't fuck all these chicks. So when these girls respond to stuff like this, they don't realize that whether it was 2,000 years ago or current day, the viewfinder they're looking at it through is not accurate, because they're judging their opinions on men based on the freaking top 2% of men in the world, when they're not realizing that the everyday man never gets responded to on Instagram, never goes on dates, never actually talks to girls and stuff like that. So it's always very interesting to see how girls can never understand how it's like, no, you think men aren't shit and all this other stuff because the men that you're fucking with have all these girls, have all this money and all this stuff, whereas most men don't have that.
we're also animals. And from an animalistic perspective, all primates besides humans, every single one, the alpha male has more than one woman. You girls, you may not know you agree with me, but you agree with me. If you see Chris Brown in the club and you're playing with Chris Brown, do you think Chris Brown's loyal? You know he's not.
No.
But you don't care because he's the alpha male.
Right. I don't really like the term alpha male, because I feel like it's just kind of like not really regarded to the same way. But he has a very good point. Women want these men that are hyper successful or tall or, rich, all these other qualities, interesting, fun, and they want these men knowing that they're not loyal in the sexual sense, knowing that they're not gonna, take care of them, or knowing that they're going to be fucking around and stuff like that. But they want them because they're number one, because they know that they could provide for them if they did happen to have a child, which, it's subconscious is, if I get pregnant by this man, he could provide for that child. And the second thing is because he's desirable, because other women desire him. If he wasn't rich and successful and attractive to them and all these other things, and no girl wanted him, if he's just a regular dude working down the street at the gas station or something, he's not going to get any looks. But it's because he's an ultra desirable man from other females, and because he has the resources to supply for a family if it ended up becoming that, because we're all biologically wired to look for the things that look for things in a mate in regards to procreation. And one of the things women look for is resources, and then of course they also look for sexual attention from other women.
And the point is that from an animal perspective, women from every primate species has always expected the alpha male to have more than one woman. This is a biological, it's been proven in genetics. I just proved it with the Chris Brown point. It's been proven. That's the first point, right?
Another thing too is because, or at least the reason why it happened like that for so long, is because not only were the kings and the knights and all this stuff were they desired by women because of their resources and looks and all that other stuff, but it was also because from an ingrained subconscious point, we know that if the best quality men reproduce, then we are now in turn going to have the best quality men grow up and then be able to reproduce, and so on and so forth. Whereas if we have every other Joe Smo reproducing and making kids and stuff like that, those men are not going to be fit for war. They're not going to be fit to train and to fight other countries and take on other land and stuff like that, because this is all thousands of years of makeup in our brains and in our biology. And we needed that to be able to survive as a civilization. If you wanted to go conquer another piece of land, you had to have your strongest soldiers take over their strongest soldiers, their armies, and then now you own more land and you are acquiring more civilization. Whereas if we know that, all the basic lame guys are going to reproduce, they're not going to be able to be fit for war physically, mentally, you know, have the resources to keep producing all these kind of things. So it's just it's just what we're wired as.
Right?
Who even is Chris Brown?
These hoes ain't loyal.
Yeah.
No.
Is that the song he sings?
Second thing. I understand what you're saying about love, right? And I completely understand what you're saying about love. But and we've gone over this with the point about how a man can truly love his woman if he sleeps with another girl, etc., etc., etc. Let me ask you another question. To be a man that a woman respects, and on average, you have to be intelligent. Would you agree? You have to be
Yeah, of
intelligent.
Of course.
You have to be wise.
To be a
Right?
wife, you have to
you
be
have to be smart. You have to be brave. You have to be capable. You have to be
Right.
competent. You have to have done amazing things, capable of doing amazing things. You have to be motivated. You have to be ambitious. You have to do lots of things. All a woman has to do is be loyal. What's actually harder?
No.
No, what's actually? No, I'm asking a question.
I think
What's
a woman-
actually
Hey, hey,
harder?
hey, hey.
What's actually
You see how they immediately want to interject and want to just combat him instead of actually listening to the point or listening to what he's actually the message he's trying to portray. And he's being extremely truthful. Men, we age like wine. Our value is created over the trials and tribulations of the life that we have for ourselves, and the finances we acquire, the jobs we acquire, the other women that we've been with. All these things we have to actually develop, and as skills and as mindset, and all of these things we have to be able to do in order to be attractive to women. Whereas women literally have their value just from their beauty. They don't necessarily have to develop themselves as a person. They don't necessarily have to make money. They don't necessarily have to, be interesting or anything. As long as they're beautiful, they're going to get attention, even if they're not beautiful in today's society with Instagram and OnlyFans and all this shit. They don't have to be beautiful. They could just be a regular chick, and they're still gonna get 1,000 times more attention than the average dude. So it's just not the same. And the reason why that loyalty is measured the way it is because of that fact. Because when a man and woman come into a relationship, it's understood, or at least for thousands of years, this is how we wired. It's understood that the man's providing all of the resources and the protection, and the woman is providing the children and the childbearing, the nurturing of the home, and all these other things. So it's a lot more understandable and easier for the men to be able to step out and have sex with other women, as long as they're not providing those same resources and protection to those women. Whereas a woman seeking out attention or sex from other men is not the same, because they're supposed to be providers of the home, and their loyalty is shown through sexual access.
harder to pull off? Sticking by your man and saying, I won't fuck another dude, or going out into the world with no inherent value? This is what you don't understand as women. Women have an inherent value, right? You're beautiful. Slim, you're beautiful. Men want to,
you.
no, you are. Men want to talk to you no matter what. If you're a man and you don't get your shit together, no woman gives a fuck about you.
Yep.
Facts.
You
That's
need to
true.
get out there.
Very
You need to
true.
do. You need to get money. You need to be smart.
Yep.
You need to be strong. You need to be intelligent. You need to be funny. As a man, you have to go out there and get all this value. So I'm asking truly, if you had to choose which is easier, I think being loyal to somebody is much easier than going out into the world and doing all those amazing things to actually become a man of status. Because the 99% of men ain't shit. And you know it, and I know it. So I'm saying here, from my point of view, if you're genuinely, and I want to make this clear, don't simp for a loser. Don't be submissive for a loser. Don't let no bum cheat on you. I'm not saying that shit. And I'm not even saying that a real G is going to cheat on you all the time. But I'm saying, if you look at your man and say, you know what, this man ticks every single box, and I truly feel happy when I'm with this man, and I truly love this man with all my heart, and he fucked this stupid bitch one weekend, am I really gonna leave him for some other man who I don't love, who's gonna fuck a bitch anyway?
Yep. And see, and that's where I wanted to put my 2 cents in, because I feel like merch, as they do in the show. For me, I'm not necessarily saying that I want to be monogamous. I would definitely want my woman to be my wife, whoever I'm dating at the time. But for me personally, I don't necessarily care for having a bunch of women. I don't necessarily care for, being able to say, oh, you know what, I'm gonna go out this weekend and slam something, just because I want to or whatever. Now that being said, if the opportunity came up and I really did get to a point in my life where I'm, married with or without kids, or I have a serious relationship and I have some kind of status, I have some kind of crazy financial resources and all this stuff, which I do plan to acquire. I'm not necessarily saying that like I'm going to go out and look for it, but if the opportunity was to come up, like I'd probably do it. And I think it should be understood that that's how it would be. Like I'm not going to sit there and lie to my woman and say, oh no, like I'm going to be 100% faithful sexually to you. But in the same regard, I feel like in the red pill space, there's a lot of just wanting to have multiple women and wanting to have sex with a bunch of women, even if you do have a girlfriend or wife, when it's like, no, you don't necessarily have to do that. You can still be kind of loyal sexually, which is what I kind of plan to do. But at the same time, if you get to a certain status because you earned that sexual access, it's more understandable and more reasonable for you to be able to have the sexual access with another woman. But I think there's a very fine line in like, say I might never ever do it with my wife or girlfriend where I do happen to have sex with somebody else. But if I did, that person is completely irrelevant to my situation. That girl is completely irrelevant to my situation. Whereas I feel like some guys have like actual side chicks that they see regularly or whatever the case may be. And it's like, no, you don't. I don't necessarily see the value in that either. Like I don't necessarily think you have to be constantly having a bunch of women on retainer. Or now I will say that there's not necessarily a downside to it as long as it's understood that it's strictly sex, because you don't want to be dealing with that many women. But that goes back to the whole point of you have the one that you're loyal to with your resources and your prosperity and like your mental acuity. You're loyal to them in that regard, but you're not going to sit here and actually put up with 10 women or whatever the case may be. But I don't think it's necessarily wrong if you do have that many women, as long as you do have the loyal one, or your wife, your girlfriend, whatever, and you do also still practice the idea that my loyalty is shown through all of those other things. Sexual access is not necessarily how men show loyalty, and that's why I don't necessarily care either side. But I just think it's also stupid for men to lie in that regard. Like I'm going to be completely honest. If I get to a point where I do have a serious girlfriend or a wife, and I'm in a place where I can potentially have that situation pop up, like I'm not going to lie to her, and I'm not from the get-go going to say, yeah, this is how it's going to be. No, I'm going to tell her like, hey, like, I earned all these millions. I earned the house we live in and stuff like that, and it's all yours as well. But there has to be some understanding that I earned this stuff because I wanted sexual access, whereas women show loyalty through sexual access. So, anyway.
Bam.
That doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
That's my point. You understand where I'm coming from, Slim? Do we agree finally?
No.
Do you guys understand what I'm saying?
I'm chilling.
See, and like that's what upsets me a little bit about it, is because like, and this is why I'm so glad that podcasts like this and people like Andrew Tate and Sneeko and stuff like that are starting to blow up, because with the feminist movement that happened or started like 60, 70 years ago, and just in general the way that things are still pushing, everybody is still looking through things in a female lens. And as a woman, she said, oh, I'm just chilling. All the girls are kind of like, eh. And it's like, they can kind of comprehend it, but they can't really understand it. They can't really like put themselves in that situation, because they really don't understand, or let me put it this way, they completely underestimate the amount of, or the lack of affection or care or love that we have towards women that we have sex with. Sex for men it's very low on the totem pole as far as how we actually show love and affection for a woman. But for women, everything they do sexually, or for most women, because now all these girls, city girls and all this other shit, most women show their loyalty through sex and emotional attachment, and that's usually how they end up doing it. Like, a girl's not going to just sleep with you just because you're hot. Like, there might be some girls out there that might do that, and whatever the case may be, for the most part, it's just hoes. Like, they're just wanting to get fucked. But like most women, and even those hoes, like deep down, most women usually want some kind of emotional connection to have sex, and which is why when they're told stuff like this, they can't comprehend it. They just shut down. Whereas men, we literally could have sex with a chick and just boom, like, I don't care if I ever see you again. Like, so I think it's very refreshing to have stuff like this out now, and getting so much publicity and so much attention, is because, like, I really want women to understand that it's not the same. We are equal in the eyes of the law, in the eyes of God, all this other stuff, but we are not the same. The way that we operate, the way that we go about our lives is not the same. And I want them to understand that, especially with the way that women are today, with all the requirements they have for men. You're gonna have to understand that if you're gonna have requirements that fit top 1% of men, that dude is going to exercise his options, and he has the right to. But on the flip side, you don't necessarily have the right to have sex with other men, because it's not your sexual access is not looked at the same through a female's eyes. We are not the same. But anyway, hope you guys liked the video. Like I mentioned at the start, make sure to drop a like, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think. I'm sure if anybody even is watching these videos, or if this channel happens to blow up and you guys find them, more than likely it's because you agree in some regard. But then I think really most men agree with a lot of these things. It's just like they say on Fresh and Fit all the time. It's just that most men are too scared to say it, because women have so much power in today's world. Like, you can't say anything without getting canceled, or without being called a misogynist or a sexist or anything like that. And also because most men have a scarcity mindset, like they talk about as well, where most men are just wanting to have some type of female in their life that they can have sex with. Like, they're not used to, most men are not like this, where they can have access to a bunch of women at once. So as soon as they find one, it's like, oh, I'm gonna make her my girlfriend, I'm gonna make her my wife, and all this stuff. And it's like they're just not able to exercise any other options because they can't. So in turn, they naturally just shut off that part of their brain, whether it's conscious or subconscious. They just shut it off because they know that they can't achieve it. So but yeah, let me know what you guys think below. Also, make sure to subscribe, and then also make sure to check out the TikTok. I always post in the description, but it's just Voice of Flex on TikTok. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you on the next one.